On this week's episode, we dig deep into the Spider-Verse. Could this engine be mortal? And is there a bright side when it comes to horror in 2019? All this and more as as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. Well, it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He's actually going to be here in Vegas this weekend to go ahead and wreak havoc with me at our holiday charity event at Retro City Games. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. It's just a short time away, my friend. You'll be up here, and so many other great things are going to be happening right here in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Only a short time. We'll be heading up tomorrow. Yeah, the charity event sounds like it's all coming together pretty well. Just so you guys know, you should be there Saturday. What time? We're starting at 12, right?
We
Noon.
are starting at 12. It's going to be from 12 to 8 p.m. There's going to be 3 tournaments that are involved. At 12 p.m., it's a Fortnite tournament. Scheduled at 2, it's going to be a Call of Duty Black Ops 4 tournament. And at 4, it's going to be a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tournament hosted by our good friends at Go Brothers Gaming and also Mario Party Wars. And of course, there's going to be so many people involved when it comes to Game Source, Humanican Media, performing music will be there. Will be Vedius, also Hyperschmidt and Trudai. It's going to be a lot of great stuff going on there. Just truly cannot thank everyone for participating into it. If you're interested in being a part of the event, because it's an all ages event, there's free retro gaming. There's going to be a raffle for a great prize. Plus, for the tournaments, there's going to be great prizes there as well, including $200 gift cards for the winners of each of those tournaments. And there's actually prizes that were set aside for the top 5 as well for each of those tournaments that are going to be able to go ahead and compete against each other in those respective games. So come on down. It's going to be a great time. Free music, free retro gaming, lots of gaming action, tournaments galore. But it all goes to great charities like 3 Square of Las Vegas for any canned food donation. Also for new toy donations, it's going to go to the UMC Children's Hospital. And if you're going to be giving out a dollar monetary donation, that's going to go to Make-A-Wish of Southern Nevada. 3 great charities that are going to be able to be there and that we're going to be able to give to as far as for the event is concerned. And if you do donate, you will get 15% off your purchase anytime from the time you hear this all the way up through the 15th. That's going to be if you go ahead and make a purchase there. If you donate at the same time that you're there, you know what? You're going to get 15% off your purchase at Retro City Games. So that's a great idea, great concept. We're just going ahead and have a great time this Saturday at Retro City Games in Henderson, Nevada. For more information, you can check all the listings, all the info, all the rules, everything that's going down there, including a full description of the prizes on the Retro City Games Facebook page. Check it out today. It is going to be a great show that we have set up for you today. We've got Ben Arnault from the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. He's going to share his top 5 in 2018 in our continuous top 5 of 2018 type deals of conversations that we have with podcasters and celebrities from all around the world, special guests from all around the world. He's going to share his thoughts on what his top 5 was for 2018. It's going to be a lot. It's going to involve barbecue. You got to know that. So he's coming up a little bit later in the broadcast. Plus, also we have Chris Valenta, aka Vedius. We just talked about him being a part of the holiday charity event at Retro City Games. He's going to be playing his great covers that are video game covers while he's there. He's going to be scheduled to play at 1, 3, and 5. Meanwhile, Hyperschmidt and Trudie are going to be there at 12, 2, and 4 playing their awesome music. So he's going to be coming up. Chris Valenta, aka Vedius, talking about a little about what he does, his influences, and why he likes to go ahead and play video game covers coming up a little bit later in the episode as well. But first, it's really our first big weekend of the month, my friend. We've got a lot of stuff going on when it comes to at the theater. We've got, well, first off, it's already out already. It is Once Upon a Deadpool. I want to hear your thoughts on that in just a second. But the big matchup that's going to be this weekend is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse versus Mortal Engines. That's going to be a great matchup as far as what people are actually going to be thinking about going to see, whatnot. You have the influence of Peter Jackson from The Lord of the Rings being a producer as far as overseeing the project with Mortal Engines from that great storyline. And then you have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which at the time not too long ago, we were not sure exactly how this was going to fit as far as if it'd be a must see or if it's something where it was actually going to go fade away really quickly. Well, you know what? The movie has gotten rave reviews all over the place. It's done a great job of promoting the fact that it's actually going to be up for a lot of awards coming in the award season as well. It's got a great animated style. And I'll tell you what, this could be the surprise hit of the winter when it comes to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, it's weird. I was not expecting it to perform so well, but you know, it's got something going for it, and it's cool to see them bridging all the different Spider people from across the different comic book timelines. Spider-Man Noir, Spider Gwen, Spider Man, Miles Morales, like all these people coming together. And it's not just aimed at one group in particular. It's aimed at everyone who loves Spider Man, and that's cool. I'm glad they did something like that. And I don't know much about where exactly the storyline's going, but as far as something coming out during the holiday season that kids could go and enjoy, like it seems kind of like the perfect fit. Kind of all the because it's catered towards new fans. It also seems to be catered towards the people who grew up in the '90s watching the Spider-Man cartoon on Fox. So I'm definitely excited to see that. As for Immortal Engines, I do want to see it. Like I don't have I don't have a lot of faith in Peter Jackson anymore, but I this movie does look interesting. It does the source material sounds interesting. I haven't read the books, but I have kind of dug into what the story's about, and it sounds fascinating. It sounds kind of like a live action anime. So I don't, I'm not 100% sure how I feel. I want to watch it, but where do you stand on it?
I well, you know what? I have a great affinity for the Lord of the Rings, but that has to go by the wayside when you're talking about this concern because he's not directing it. Someone else is directing it, and he does have his fingerprints all over it. He's part of the promotion when it comes to Mortal Engines. It's not expected to do as well as Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse because of the fact that at this time now, last month, it looked like it was going to be the opposite. But right now, a lot of the momentum is going to be in the favor of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse because it's earning all those nominations, Golden Globe nominations and other nominations, critics awards and whatnot, all over the place. So there's a lot of good word and a lot of good buzz into Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And I'll tell you what, Mortal Engines, I don't want to say this is going to be a flop of any kind, but they're looking to go ahead and extend the series and make it into a trilogy or what have you. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case because it looks like from all points in time that it looks like it's probably not going to fare as well as they're hoping. I still want to go see the movie. It looks kind of interesting and the concept like you said is kind of catchy and different as far as another post-apocalyptic type movie after the world goes to war, cities are now on wheels and larger ones devouring smaller ones and whatnot. It still looks like a great concept, but I'm not sure if it's going to be that great in execution. The reviews have been mixed as far as the reception critically. So I'm looking to see if it's going to be something that long term it will actually play out to be something that's going to be accepted by maybe an international audience so that it will have life as a series. but I will actually get a chance to check it out at some point in time. I'm just not going to go ahead and make a priority. But what I will make a priority is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, something that you and I weren't going to make time for up front, but it looks like there's been so much good buzz that you and I have to both make a great effort to go ahead and check out the movie as soon as possible.
Yeah, and after our charity thing's over, I do plan on getting back and seeing a couple movies. Mostly get reviews up on the site, but yeah, that's definitely on the list of things to see. Mortal Engines. You wanted to talk about Deadpool, right?
Well, what are your thoughts on that? Once Upon a Deadpool has already come out this week. It's in a limited amount of theaters, over about 1,500 theaters nationwide. It is a recutting of Deadpool 2 to actually get to a PG-13 audience, trying to get a younger audience, skew that younger audience in there. Uh, a little bit of footage has been added in with Fred Savage in that recreating the Princess Bride scenario, this time with Deadpool telling the story. So they're trying to, whatever they take out as far as the content that's questionable or objectionable or R-rated content that's in Deadpool 2, they're actually trying to put a little bit in when it comes to the recreation of the Princess Bride scene with Fred Savage and Deadpool. For most part, I've heard it's actually really good for those two when they work together. It's just that the rest of the movie does not really make a good fit. And the best I could compare it to is when the edited version of Deadpool came to FX and they were showing an uncut, they were showing a R-rated version at later hours and they were showing a PG-13 in the early hours. And it was no comparison on how much better the R-rated version is, because that's Deadpool all the way, right?
Right. Well, let me just say that I appreciate what they're doing with this because yeah, I love the effort that's going into it. They're not just blanking things out. They're not just taking swear words out. They're not just uh y- dumbing it down for parents to take their kids to see. But on the other side of that coin, if you're a kid and you want to see this movie, chances are you probably already saw it. You probably went to your friend's house and saw it. Like it's it's the idea of the forbidden fruit, like we want to watch what we're not supposed to watch. And then once it's available for us to watch in a format that we can watch it, we don't want to watch it anymore. And I think that's kind of got that working for it right now. And I don't know, it kind of like reminds me of Walmart though. You know how you used to be able to buy CDs? Every CD you bought from Walmart was edited. And you like the novelty of it, but it's just not something that's very appealing. And I like the effort, with the Fred Savage scenes, but it's just I don't see it catching on to people. I don't see people wanting to go see it because if you didn't see it the first time, then it's probably not something you're gonna watch, and it's already got that bad stigma too with parents after the first Deadpool came out, where parents were like, "Oh, don't take your kids to go see that." Every parent knows not to let their kids see Deadpool, so I don't think making a PG-13 cut is really gonna change that stigma.
I don't think it's going to drive in audiences as well. It only got 1 million upfront in its first day of release, but that was during the week when kids are still in school. I was talking with you before we went on the show that this weekend is going to be the telltale sign if it's going to actually be something that is a success and be considered something that other movies of that ilk might be doing down the road. I don't think it'll play out that way, especially for a movie like Deadpool, which needs to be as R-rated as you can get, because his best humor, Ryan Reynolds' best humor, is when it comes to that. In fact, when Detective Pikachu, that trailer came out, and it was Ryan Reynolds voicing him, voicing Detective Pikachu. It just right away you could just tell it's not Deadpool that I'm listening to. It's the guy who played Deadpool, but he's just not quite sounding as funny as a Detective Pikachu than he is when he's just full uncut like he is with the Deadpool and Deadpool 2 original cuts.
Right, right. He has a style of his own, and people like that style. And having him venture outside of that style is just not something he can do. I don't doubt that he can play a serious role, but
But well, it's just like this. Yeah, his career since doing the Deadpools has just about been doing the Deadpools, and that's been his successful movies. When it comes to other movies he's made, like what was it, Life, and other things that he's tried to get into, Ripped and whatnot, excuse me, R.I.P.D. and whatnot, just other projects that he's done are just what's the other one? Hitman's Bodyguard. Those movies are just not as good because he just does not go all out like he does when he's Deadpool.
Right, but he also had that one, what's that one chick flick that was Definitely Maybe that got a bunch of rave reviews?
But
Uh,
that was well before Deadpool.
right, but we can't forget that he came onto the scene with Van Wilder though, like, that was pretty close to Deadpool, you know,
And
he
Waiting is probably one of
yeah.
the most underrated movies out there.
Oh, that's a funny movie, yeah. But yeah, we that's how he got his start is in vulgarity. So, you know, and we've seen he can play certain roles, but I don't think he's at a point in his career where he's able to take them seriously though.
It's just unfortunately he's almost been typecast into a, like you said, a vulgar role, an R-rated type of role that he works best at. And whenever he tries to venture outside of that, it's not always the best of
It's the it's the
it's
tragedy
not
of
always the best of execution. What?
I said it's the tragedy of The Rock.
Exactly, exactly. So I tell you what, it's just I don't think like it's going to do very well. I don't think it's going to do very well. Meaning, Once Upon a Deadpool this weekend. I'm not looking to see any big numbers from it. It was an experiment by the movie studio, by Fox and whatnot, by Fox to go ahead and try to get something done like this, but it doesn't look like it's going to pay off in spades. I will say that it is one of the most convoluted weekends. I'm not going to say it's one of the highest growing, highest grossing, highest, most fought for, most excitable, most anticipated type of movie weekend. But it's kind of one of the most interesting weekends that's out there of 2018 because you've got all these different ventures, all these different type of movies that are coming in there that are trying to vie for that space. And it's going to get even more fun week by week by week because there's going to be even more movies that are crammed in there to try and get in there. And some of the movies that we'll be talking about over the next couple of weeks, it's just going to be funny how they're actually even there at all. I'm looking at you, Second Act. I'm looking at you, Holmes and Watson. I'm looking at you, Stan and Ollie. Why are these movies being played out when they're being played out when they probably be better served, maybe push back a couple months, into 2019? That's my guess. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, but we'll talk more about that in the weeks to come. But we are getting hot and heavy into the Christmas film season. And for me, it's going to start off with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think it's going to be a really, really good time for that movie. I think it's going to shine. I think it's going to surprise a lot of people at the box office.
I'm
Any
sorry.
last thoughts?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Honestly, I think Spider-Verse is gonna take the weekend because it's opening Mortal Engines on the same day as Spider-Verse. Despite whether or not you thought it was gonna do well, I just don't think that it was a great idea. And plus, it's already pigeonholed in this place because next week there's Aquaman, and from what I understand, Aquaman is actually people are liking it a lot better than most of the other DC films.
Exactly.
Also,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say also at a later date, we should talk about Momoa's comments about Cavill still playing Superman.
I know I posted that earlier today on the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook channel. So that's very interesting. We could talk about it actually for our Monday show coming up. And also, we're going to be talking about Mary Poppins Returns, something you didn't mention that is also coming out next week. So that week is lined up even more with some potential blockbusters that are out there. So it's going to be a busy time. Aquaman's getting reviewed all over the place, but one of the things it looks like it's going to be a fun ride, whatever way it's going, whether you think that's going to be cheesy acting, whether it's going to be over the top, whether it's going to be too much CG, whether whatever. It looks like Aquaman is going to be a fun ride throughout. I'm excited to go ahead and see it. I know it's getting a lot of reviews. Like it's going to be a fun popcorn flick. That's exactly what I'm expecting. It could be something that's going to give the DC universe, a real shot in the arm that they need. that they need other than Wonder Woman. So that's going to have a right left combination right there going forward. So that'll be nice to see. But we'll talk more about that next Friday on the multiverse as well. What are your thoughts out there on this weekend's box office battle between Mortal Engines, Spider Man Into the Spider Verse, and Once Upon a Deadpool? We want to hear your thoughts on what's going on with those. Are you going to check out any of them? Do you really like what you hear when it comes to Spider Man Into the Spider Verse and the rave reviews that it's getting and all the nominations it's getting as well? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, coming up, like I said, after the break, we've got Chris Valenta, aka Vedius. He's coming up. We're going to just sit down. We're going to have a chat about what his influences are, his great music, and we're also going to play a tune of his as well. Plus, right after, plus on the back half, we've got Ben Arnault from the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. He's going to share his top 5 of 2018. And Josh and I are going to be right after that, Josh and I are going to be sharing our thoughts on Brightside and more when it comes to a lot of good movie trailers that are out there. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back to close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. Once again, thanks so much for listening to all of our great shows. If you need a listing of where we're at, what we're playing on, and where we're being played on, check our Facebook page out today, Pop Culture Cosmos. You'll see a listing of all the radio stations we're on because we're being played all around the world 7 days a week. Our shows get replayed every day of the week. I just cannot thank those radio stations enough. And please, if you get a chance, please support those radio stations when you get the chance. Also, we're on over 30 different podcast outlets, and many of them are listed right there for you. So you have a basis right there. Not only our Podbean channel, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Anchor. There's so many others. There's just the list goes on and on. Check it out today for our entire listing, and also information on our upcoming events and things of that nature. Check it out today, Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. My friend, you've got a great thing going on with Humanica Media. Besides Humanica Media coming up and invading Las Vegas, aka Henderson, as well at the Retro City Games Holiday Game Night, what's going on with your great experience known as Humanica Media?
We just put out a new episode of Topic Apocalypse today, where we're talking about all the dark origins of our favorite fairy tales, and you'd be surprised at what we turned up. So it's a good episode. Check it out. I talked to John Sweeney of Podcast Radio Network. He's not sure when things are going to be back online, but we'll keep you posted.
Otherwise, check it out today on the Topic Apocalypse Podbean channel. And I was reading my girls some of these bedtime stories the other day, and some of these nursery tales and whatnot. Man, Hansel and Gretel, that's some dark stuff, man, if you take a look at it.
Oh yeah, and same thing with Sleeping Beauty, man. That's even like some of that's even worse.
Oh my goodness, man, just not the way Disney shows it. But
Oh no, not at all.
no, not at all indeed. My friend, before we head on out, we checked out a lot of stuff going on in Trailerland. So one of the things I wanted to bring to your attention was Brightside, which is coming out next year in 2019. Brightside, something that caught both yours and my eyes when it comes to the whole concept, because on the surface, it just seems like another rehash of Superman. But then again, when you take a look at it, it's a lot more.
Yeah, it's weird because I actually thought that was gonna end up being some sort of DC canon. I'm like, this is kind of interesting. It had the music and all that, and they even like took pieces of the Man of Steel trailer and kind of not mocked them, but copied them. Um, and it's interesting to me because it is essentially, what if Superman was not a good person? What if he went rogue as a kid, and he that's an interesting concept. What if the mom, what if someone who is different is not a good kind of different? And I that concept's interesting. And it was weird to me that I saw James Gunn's name attached to it because he is making stuff for the DC universe. So I'm wondering if there are some negotiations that took place there because it basically is a horror movie of Man of Steel, but as a child, and it's I don't know how I feel about it, man. I don't really want to see it. I like the concept of it, but it's not something that I'm going to be running out to the theaters to watch. What about you, though?
I think it might actually captivate audiences the way The Conjuring has, because I think that especially that last scene in the trailer is something a lot of people might go for. And Elizabeth Banks is actually part of the project. She's starring in the movie, and I think actually it's something that she wouldn't have attached herself to unless she thought it might be a hit. So I'm actually thinking this might be a breakout hit as far as the horror genre is concerned next year when it hits, and it'd be something in the way of The Nun, the Conjuring series that we've become so familiar with, and A Quiet Place if it's done anywhere near at the levels of any of those films.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it definitely has a lot of production value behind it, so I don't see why it wouldn't. And with James Gunn producing, where this is kind of his first, move back into the spotlight since that whole thing went down with Marvel and Disney. So it's got some pieces working for it for sure. But whether or not it's just a really cool trailer or a good movie, it still needs to be determined.
But right now, it has piqued my interest. I know it's gotten yours as well. And I know you said you might not see it, but I have a feeling I'll be checking it out because, like I said, it's the interesting concept that might get to me. But we'll talk more about that as it nears its date in 2019. Another movie I wanted to talk about before we head on out that came out in a trailer, or actually two. One is closing in very quickly in 2019, and there's another one called Captive State that's coming out in March. Yeah, it's another alien occupied movie, whatnot, which you've already seen in some other movies already this year and in the recent past. What are your thoughts on another alien occupation movie such as Captive State? This one's a little bit different, in fact, that it takes place 10 years after the occupation has started, with cooperation by humans as far as they try to keep control of a resistance that tries to go ahead and, well, do whatever they can to try and resist against the alien occupation.
I enjoy a good sci-fi flick. I enjoy movies like that. I enjoyed well, I didn't. Yes, I liked it. I liked Extinction on Netflix. That was an interesting take on the sci-fi genre. Um but
That was the one with Michael Pena, correct?
yeah, yeah. And that I mean, I would definitely recommend that to anyone who's into that kind of genre because it does have a really cool twist at the end. Oh, sorry. But this one,
It does have a really cool. What can you say that again? Because
oh,
it came out all yawn.
it has a really cool twist at the end. But it see these movies, these sci-fi flicks, I love them. I love to give them the benefit of the doubt. I want to see all of them, all the ones that I can that are not cheap. But remember when I was talking about Arrival? It was just so oversaturated with political themes, and that's what I'm afraid this one's going to be just by the name of the movie. And it's it's one thing if you do it in a clever way, but it's just they're all just trying to make statements, and I want a sci-fi movie that I can just go in and enjoy. So I'm hoping maybe Captive State will be it, but who knows? These big budget flicks, especially the big budget ones, they're just political stuff, and it's I don't really have any need to go see that, but I might be jumping to conclusions here. So hopefully it's good. I'll wait to read some reviews on it, but I'm not I'm not too interested. I didn't see any of the Cloverfield movies, but um yeah, it's not my at the moment it's not my cup of tea. Maybe I'll go back to watch them one day.
I'm not as interested in that movie, Captive State, than I am uh, in Brightside. But I tell you what, if it does come out that there's a lot of buzz behind it, we said the same thing about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. We weren't high on it. We were just thinking it's going to be there, something we'll catch on home video and whatnot. Then all of a sudden, it gets these rave reviews all over the place, and we think all of a sudden we've got to catch it. So the same thing could happen with Captive State. I know there's a lot of people, like I said, already interested in Brightside, so looking forward to hearing more about that in the weeks to come. One last trailer I want to talk to you about, my friend, and that is the final trailer for Glass, where it looks like It sets up everything for that trilogy, which we already know from Unbreakable, and then also, um, oh, what's the one? What's the second one? McAvoy.
Split.
Oh, there you go. And with Split, and now you've got Glass. I see how they're doing that. Unbreakable, Split, Glass. There you go. But anyways, I'm pretty excited about seeing this movie coming up here very soon in the weeks to come, because this looks like it'll be the culmination of events that have taken place over the course of many years when it comes to Unbreakable so many years ago. Your thoughts on Glass, as the final trailer has now been released and it's now in the home stretch, waiting to be shown to audiences?
Yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. I've always been interested in, what happened after Unbreakable. I never saw Split, so maybe I do need to go back and watch that. But
You do need to see Split. I mean, you will not be able to get a full, I guess, appreciation for what's coming up with Glass unless you see Split.
yeah, I'll probably go back and see that. I do need to go back again and watch Unbreakable because that was an old movie. That was, I think, was that before or after The Sixth Sense? I don't remember, but
Yeah,
uh,
it's an old movie. Yeah, it came out in the 90s, I think, or is it early 2000s? Yeah, that's old. That's old, man.
well, I remember it was pretty like cutting edge for its time in terms of storytelling. And that was what one of the last good movies that Shyamalan has made. So yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm excited. I like the idea of like these polar opposites. The villain is the polar opposite of the hero, and then where McAvoy plays in all this, I don't know. But yeah, I'm wondering if it's gonna like open up a whole new world, or if they're just gonna end it with this one.
Well, I also like the concept that they all managed to somehow get thrown into um, a sanitarium, and it looks like the character played by Sarah Paulson, she's going ahead and she's trying to determine the fact that they're all just, imagining their superpowers and whatnot, and she's not taking them at face value. And then over the course of the movie and over the course of the trailer, you see that all these wondrous things are happening. So maybe something is abound and afoot that we've seen as audiences already. And Sarah Paulson's still that non-believer that in the end you never, I'm sure you're going to see at some point in time Sarah Paulson become a believer at some point in time of what's going on and all the crazy stuff, because it looks like there's going to be an epic battle between James McAvoy's character and Bruce Willis's character, the good versus evil. And somehow Samuel L. Jackson's character is going to somehow, just manipulate his way into it, as far as somehow, because he's the mastermind of all this. So the evil mastermind of all this. So I'm very excited to see what's coming up for Glass. It is coming out January 18th. I'm looking forward to it. It's actually going to be a big early part of 2019 for Samuel L. Jackson with Glass, also Captain Marvel, and we hope he's going to have a return in the Avengers Endgame as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but I like how Marvel doesn't really tell him anything, or else he does a good job of hiding it. You really just can't tell. Whereas, Tom Holland is just an open book, not on
And
purpose.
Mark Ruffalo.
And Mark Ruffalo, not on purpose. They just kind of, or maybe it's a gimmick. Who knows? But even outside of their characters, they have their own characters.
Exactly. So, but it all starts with Glass coming out on the 18th of January for Samuel L. Jackson fans. He's going to have a big year in 2019, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Glass, which normally in January would be like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a bad movie. It's going to be a bad movie. But similar thing happened with Split. It was shown earlier in the year, and that was a big hit for M. Night Shyamalan as well.
Yeah, this is true. I think well, because that movie had a lot of power of word of mouth too. Like it was a horror movie and people liked it, and that kind of I think more than marketing, like word of mouth with scary movies gets momentum for them.
Exactly. And Split did come out, like I said, in mid January of 2017. So it looks like it's going to be something that is actually planned, that is coming out that time. It's not something that the movie company is putting there because it's not going to make any money anywhere else, or something that they have no confidence in. This is a planned release date in January 18th for Glass, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm really waiting to see that culmination of all three of those films come together, and all three of those main characters come together as well. So looking forward to seeing Glass. And the final trailer, if you catch it out there, whether it's off the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page or wherever, it's definitely something after you see it that you'll want to check out the movie when it comes out January 18th. What are your thoughts on Brightside, Glass, and Captive State? Want to hear your thoughts on all three of those trailers? Have you got a chance to check them out? What are you thinking about when it comes to those movies? Are you going to go ahead and check them out when they hit theaters in 2019? Or are one, two, or all three of them going to be movies that you're going to check out later in time in home video, or not at all? Want to hear your thoughts? Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, it's been another great episode. Want to thank Ben Arnault from the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Also, as well, Chris Valenta, aka Vedius, who is playing at our holiday game night this Saturday, December 15th. Speaking of which, once again, come on by Retro City Games in Henderson, Nevada, suburb of Las Vegas, Nevada. Want to go ahead and check out all the great gaming that's going to go on there. There's free retro gaming. There's $10 gaming tournaments with Fortnite, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. It's going to be music by, like I said, Vedius, Hyperschmidt, True Die. It's going to be a great time for 8 hours right there, starting at 12 p.m. Check it on out. And for more info, check out the Retro City Games Facebook page for all the info and prize information. Any last thoughts on the way out before you head on up here to Vegas, my friend?
No, man. I gotta pack some stuff and get the computers and the mixer and the microphones, and yeah, it's gonna be a good time. So hopefully we'll see you guys this weekend.
Hopefully you will. I know you've been playing a lot of Pop Culture Cosmos and Topicocalypse on the way here, but safe travels to you here, my friend. We'll see you here in Henderson for Retro City Games Holiday Game Night, and hopefully we will see everyone out there listening as well. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.